So you're trying to get lucid, and you've been told that one good thing to do is to look through your dream journal entries and try to find instances of dream signs, recurring themes, objects, places, characters in your dreams that when you notice in waking life, you can ask yourself if you're dreaming and perhaps perform a series of reality checks, which should lead to you doing the same eventually in a dream and getting lucid. But what if you don't have any dream signs? What if when you look at your dreams there is simply nothing there that recurs? Now personally I tend to think that there's always some sort of dream sign that we have, it's just that a lot of the time it's something pretty vague or cryptic that takes a while to get at. But it's pretty obvious that we'll have no obvious dream signs. We'll look at our dream journal entries and they're all completely different dreams with nothing seemingly in common. Now we can just do all of our other lucid dreaming techniques and we can keep performing reality checks throughout the day anyway, but if we want to use dream signs to our advantage, it helps to actually have some. So here is where I want to make a suggestion for you. If you don't have any dream signs, make some. You've already done this countless times before in your life unintentionally. You will have binge watched a series before bed, or maybe you'll have played a little bit too much Minecraft, or you'll watch one too many horror movies. What will happen? You start dreaming about that particular thing or theme and having regular dreams about it. Voila, you have created a dream sign. But now see, if you're a practicing lucid dreamer, that is useful. You can use that to your advantage. If there is, say, like a particular video game that when you play it a lot, you tend to dream about it. For me, that's old school RuneScape. Then play a bunch of that game before bed. Or if you don't mind some scary dreams, start watching horror movies right before you go to sleep every night for a week or two. Start thinking about how the content you consume could be used to affect the content of your dreams so that you can get a running theme throughout your dreams. Because then once you've got that running theme, you can start doing reality checks when you see that. In the example I gave, I can do a reality check every time I play old school RuneScape, and then when I have a dream about the game, guess what I inevitably do? A reality check, and then of course I become lucid. About to go on a horror movie marathon? Well, you can remind yourself to do a reality check anytime you're in a scary situation, as you'll likely find yourself in some during some of your dreams. Essentially, what I'm getting at here is to look at techniques for dream incubation, techniques for influencing the content of your dreams without necessarily getting lucid, and use that technique, influence the content of your dreams so that you have dreams that have recurring themes, so that you can notice those themes as a way to get lucid. And you can be doing this on top of your lucid dreaming techniques anyway. So you can be making yourself have regular dreams about, say, I don't know, desert islands. And you can tell yourself that whenever I'm on a desert island, I'm going to do a reality check. But at the same time, you could be doing mild, you could be doing wild, you could be meditating. And this is just yet another tool in your arsenal to help increase the frequency of lucid dreams that you have. One of my favourite ways for doing this is just to bombard my brain with a particular subject right before I fall asleep. So let's say, using the desert island example again, I want to have dreams about desert islands. Well, first I would think about what media can I already consume that might have that in. So I might think of a game that features desert islands. Hey, I mentioned old school RuneScape earlier. The sailing update is just about to drop, so I could go and play some sailing. I would try to bombard my senses visually with stuff relating to that. So I would literally just pull up Google Images and look up some images of some tropical islands. Or maybe pull up like a BBC Planet Earth documentary where they're looking at wildlife on a deserted island. And then if I really want to go a step further, and I can, I'll try to find something that I can listen to that relates to that subject, that I can fall asleep listening to, because that's really quite helpful. If you can literally fall asleep while someone is talking about a thing that you want to dream about, that's a great way to have dreams about that particular thing. So yeah, for the given example, I might play a bit of old school, do the sailing beta, then I might pull up a documentary, pull up some Google Images, and finally try to find something like a podcast episode where they're talking about that specific thing, and listen to that as I fall asleep on headphones. And this isn't something that I'll just do once and hope for the best. Whenever I'm doing something like this, I will do it repeatedly, day in, day out, for anywhere from a couple of days to a few weeks. And when you do this, there's a good chance that within a few days, you'll start to notice yourself dreaming more about the subject that you're trying to flood your brain with. At this point, decide consciously that I am going to do reality checks every time I encounter this thing in my dreams. And ideally, couple that with doing reality checks when you encounter that thing in waking life as well, even if it's just while you're flooding your brain with it before bed. Because that will help avoid the trap of seeing that thing in a dream, thinking that you're awake, and then just not doing the reality check. Another thing that you can actually do is just to write down the dream signs that you would like to have. I say try to focus on one and try to focus on something very memorable and very easy to dream about, like a particular color or a particular emotion or a particular animal, and then actually repeat a mantra to yourself. I dream about whatever the thing is. So like, I dream about the color red. I dream about the color red. And I would repeat that for a few minutes before bed. I find writing this out and using a mantra can be quite effective, but it's not quite as effective as just flooding your brain with like lots of images of this thing, if you can do that. So I tend to find the mantra method more useful for abstract concepts. Something like a particular emotion that you want to dream about that you can't really think of ways to represent visually. But since we're doing this to try to find a dream sign for you so that you can start doing reality checks in response to it, the easiest thing to do is just to pick something really, really simple. This is going to vary from person to person, but for me personally, the simplest thing is just anything that gives me the Tetris effect. Anything that when I do it repetitively enough, starts to fill my mind's eye with images of that particular thing. So that can be something like Tetris itself, that can be something like chess, that can be something like, again, old school RuneScape. For me, games tend to be great for this. Repetitive games where there's similar imagery on screen over and over and over, and I'm playing it for several hour stints at a time. If I take something like that, I consume a bunch of it, and then on top of that I do everything else that I just described to you, then I'm pretty much guaranteed to be having a bunch of dreams about that thing. So it is then very, very easy to just do reality checks when I see that thing and get lucid on a regular basis. So give that a try, folks, but before we end the video, I just want to ask you guys for a little favour. Have you had any interesting dreams recently? Anything funny, anything crazy, anything wild that you would like shared in a future video? I don't know how many responses I'm going to get to this. I don't know if it's going to be enough for me to actually make a series out of this, but I like the idea of every so often posting a video where I share some of your dream stories, and that can be lucid or regular dreams. So we'll see how this goes. If there's enough interest, if enough of you guys submit some dreams, then perhaps we'll get some videos soon where I share some of your dream stories. Anyway, that's been all for this video. Make sure you subscribe and enable all notifications so you can stay up to date when my new videos come out. And if you want to keep watching, check out one of those videos on screen, go watch that, and I'll see you there soon. Take care and have some awesome lucid dreams.